Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for coming and watching today. Anyway, I really want to mention something about All right, we're back at Capital Casino. First interesting hand of the day with 500 in front of us. We look down at two aces from the cutoff. Decided to open for a raise to 15. Only the big blind defends. So we go heads up to a flop of Jack 7-6, Rainbow. Excellent flop for our hand. Win check two. We're going to continue for $15. Hoping to get some action, and he puts in the quick call. Turn card is the blankest of blanks, a two of clubs. Excellent hand to continue win check two. I decided to size to 35. It doesn't take the opponent too long before he decides to put in the call. His range sure looks like it's a jack. It doesn't look like it's a straight draw. There's not much else out there. So when the river card comes as a 7 of hearts, I think this is a green light to get extra value. He checks it over. I'm trying to figure out a good sizing. I decided on $75, a little bit bigger than half pot. I think that this is just enough where it kind of looks bluffy, but yet I might be able to entice a weak jack to put in the call. He goes into the tank, and he was in there for probably close to a minute. I sped up the video here. He finally decides on putting in the call, and I roll over my aces, and sure enough, they're good. So we take down the first pot of the day, and we're off to a good start. I have a lot of hands like this one that don't usually make the vlog. We got 10-9 suited, open for a raise, we get called by a player, and we go heads up to a flop of Jack 10-8. They check, I c-bet, they fold, and I take it down. So not very exciting, but there are quite a few hands just like this one. Well, back to a real hand, ace-king suited, I'm in the hijack. There's a few limpers. I decided to raise to 15. I end up getting 3 callers. So we're going 4 ways to a flop with 49 in the pot. Flop comes 10-8-6 with 2 diamonds. So I do have a backdoor flush draw. When check 2, I just check this thing back. This definitely hits my opponent's range stronger than mine. Turn card's a queen of diamonds. I decided to check this, and then the player in the cutoff decides to bet $10. Very small bet, and for $10, I'm going to go ahead and see the river. I have some larceny in mind. River card comes as a diamond, a 10 of diamonds in fact. I decided to leave for $25 on a pure stone bluff. I figure the opponent has a queen, and if he did have a queen, that means he only has one card that could be a diamond. So my bluff ended up getting through, no diamond in his hand.
Doug works awfully hard making these vlogs. If you guys can like and subscribe, I'm sure that will make him happy. If you want to share and hit the notification bell, that'll probably make me happy too. Thanks for watching. Really do appreciate your support.
After 2 early position limpers, I look down at 6-7 of clubs in the hijack, and I put in a raise to 20. We end up getting 2 callers, so we're going 3 ways to a flop with $64 in the pot. Flop is pretty good. It comes 9-4-5 with 1 club, so we got an open ender and a backdoor flush draw. Both players check to me. I continue for $20. And I end up getting 1 caller from the player on my right. Turn card comes, well, 3 of diamonds. Couldn't ask for much more. Now my opponent decides to lead into me for $40. Sweet music to my ears. He only has a little over $100 left. I thought he had about 100, so I just decided to put $100 in. Trying to get action from him before another scare card comes, like a diamond or some sort of straight card, or maybe even an overcard. So after I make it 100, he puts in a quick call. He only has like $9 behind. River card comes as a 6. He fires his $9 out. I put in the quick call. He had ace-6 of diamonds, so had an open ender and a flush draw. No good. We take this one down. So far the day's been going pretty good. We look down at ace-king suited. There are a ton of limpers. I think we had 4 limpers coming to me, and I decided to raise to 25 on the button. Excellent position, excellent cards. Hoping to get at least 1 player to come along, and that's what happens. So we get 1 player in the low jack who puts in the call for the 25. And so we're going to end up go heads up to a flop with $66 in the pot. This player's been playing a little bit erratically, and I picked up on some betting habits of his, so hoping to use that against him. Flop comes 5 deuce 4 with 2 clubs, so not the greatest of flops, but it shouldn't really hit his range too much. So when he checks to me, I'm just going to put in a good size continuation bet representing some sort of overpair or maybe just 2 big cards. He quickly puts in the call, and so I'm a little bit hesitant about a club coming. Turn card comes as a 10 of clubs. Now he checks, but he checks very emphatically. And the last 2 times he checked like this, he missed and someone bet and he folded. So I decided, oh, good opportunity. So I jam and he snap calls. He snapped me off so fast, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, he ended up having a flush and he owned me on this hand. I guess my read was way off because later on he did a similar thing when he had it too. So our stack is back down to about $500. We look down at ace queen of hearts, and after punting that few dollars off that last hand, we decide to open the raise to 15. We end up getting 3 callers to the 15, so we're headed 4 ways to a flop with $63 in the pot. Hoping to hit the flop hard, get back on the winning side. The flop comes down Jack 10-5 with 2 diamonds. So not a bad flop. And when check 2, I'm definitely going to continue with 2 overcards and a gut shot draw. End up getting call from the button and 1 caller from the small blind. So we're going to go 3 ways to a turn of a 9 of hearts. So it does give us a little bit more equity now that we have a open-ended straight draw, and we still have our 2 overcards. But it's not something I want to be betting at this point with 2 callers, and because the 9 really hits our calling people's range. Anyway, we checked it over to the button, who ends up betting $50. The small blind puts in a quick call for the 50, and I think I'm getting the right price. So I decided to go ahead and make the call for the 50. You know, we're getting almost a little over 4-1 on our call, so looking to hit something good. Of course we don't. We hit the 9 of clubs on the end. Definite blank, doesn't help us a bit. Definitely helps our opponent's range. And the small blind now leads for $75. So there's nothing left for us to do but just fold this hand. But I was curious what kind of hand he got here with. Most likely it's some sort of straight draw where he hit trip 9s or some sort of flush draw where he hit trip 9s. So we fold, we watch the action, just seeing if the button will put in a call so we can get to look at his cards. And sure enough, after a little bit of thinking, the button decides that his hand was worthy of a $75 call. And we get to see that the player in the small blind had queen 9 suited and had a straight draw and made trip 9s. So we're a little stuck now, but it's nothing better than waking up with a premium hand in the small blind. There was a couple limpers and a player raised to 17. It came around to me. I made it $40 more. Everyone else folds out and that player put in the call. So we're going to go heads up to a flop with 123 in the pot. Just looking for a clean flop. The player only has $100 left. And when the flop comes 6 high all clubs, I decided, well, might as well get in now. So I go ahead and shove in for $100. He puts in the snap call, hoping that we get a clean run out. Turn card is 3 of clubs, one of the worst cards in the deck. And if that wasn't bad enough, a black ace of spades comes on the end. I'm really expecting to lose this pot, waiting for the person to show their hand, and they just put it in the muck. I open for a raise with 9-8 suited, get 2 callers. So 48 in the pot, going 3 ways of a flop of ace, ace, deuce. Excellent flop for my range. When check 2, I can easily bet this and feel comfortable knowing that I'm not going to get called unless somebody has an ace or a big pair. There were 2 early limpers. I looked down at king, queen of hearts, raised to 20. The player in the cutoff puts in the quick call for the 20. And it gets folded back around to one other of the limpers, and he also puts in the call. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop with 67 in the pot. Flop is a good one. It comes King 7-6 Rainbow. First player checks. I decided to get a little tricky and check this one back, and so did the player behind me. Turn card comes is a 2 of clubs. Excellent card. It gets checked to me again. I decided to bet 50. Hoping to get some action from someone who with a weak hand, like maybe a pair of sevens, or perhaps some sort of flush draw. The player behind me thinks for quite a while, and it looked like he wanted a raise for a moment, and then he just puts in the call. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but we got 167 in the pot, and we're headed to a river of a jack of hearts. I decided that if he had some sort of king, if he had king jack, great. All the straights miss, all the flushes miss. I put them all in, and he ends up showing king queen of diamonds. So we end up chopping this pot. So about one round later against the same opponent, I opened for a raise to 15, and he puts in the call. So we're going to go heads up to a flop with $34 in the pot. Flop is pretty interesting. It comes queen 3 deuce with 2 hearts. So I flop a flush draw and lead for $15. He puts in the quick call, and we see a turn card of a 6 of hearts. So we made our flush. Time to get some value. He did call our flop bet, so maybe he has a queen or maybe he has a flush draw himself. So after I bet $40, he kind of fumbles around with his chips for a bit, and then he tries to raise to 80. He only put $75 in, and with our new rule of more than a half bet put in constitutes a raise, the dealer told him he had to make it 80, so he puts the other $5 on top. This lets us go ahead and raise, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put them all in. He could be doing this with a flush, but if he is, I'm going to be paying him off anyway. I don't want to give him a cheap draw at it if he doesn't have it already. So I toss it in. He makes the quick call. I tell him that I turned the flush, and he says, oh, I just have ace queen, and he rolled over the ace queen of spades. After being fairly active for the last half hour to 45 minutes, I looked down at 2 aces in the small blind. There was one limper. I raised to 16. He puts in the quick call, and we're going to go heads up to a flop of 9-5-4. I lead quickly for $20, and he quickly raises to 50. Not quite sure what this means, but with a dry flop like that, I'm really not putting him on a set. I think I'm good here all the time. I decided to put in the smooth call and go for the check raise on a turn on any kind of blank. He's probably putting me on 2 big cards. I've been very active. Anyway, the turn card comes is a 10 of hearts. Pretty good card for that. Only thing that gets there that really beats me is 9-10. And I check it. He bets 75, and I just jam. Now he starts to go into the tank, thinking, why didn't I check that last card? Anyway, he thinks for quite some time. He kind of piles his chips up and then slowly shoves them in. So I'm happy about that. I roll over my aces, and when the queen of spades hits the river, he kind of gets a little bit frustrated, shows his neighbor what a bad beat he took, which I don't think it really was a bad beat. And we end up taking down this pot, and we end up playing for like another 20-30 minutes, but this was the last interesting hand of the day. We got a nice little win of $480, and quite pleased with the way things went, except for that one hand with ace king.